since today for me has been just one of those really nice, relaxing Saturdays where you don't really do anything, I thought I would sit down and instead of trying to vlog a not very eventful day, sit down and talk about some of the things that I have noticed since coming back home for the first time since moving out. And since this is the type of thing that I would usually talk about on something like a live stream or whatever, if you're looking for a vlog or a day in the life type of thing, then I will just see you tomorrow. But for everyone else, it's like I wanted to talk about some of the things that I have noticed kind of moving out of home for the first time, and as well as like moving to a different country and some of the things that I have just noticed, as well as how I'm kind of feeling being back home in Australia for the first time, because it has been a really interesting experience. Firstly, this is something that I've touched on quite a bit throughout the last couple of days of these vlogs, and that is that like I'm not in my regular room. This used to be my sister's room, so kind of coming in here is like really weird because it's like it's all of my furniture. The layout is like pretty similar, but it's not really like I'm kind of surrounded by my stuff the same way that I used to feel, or that I feel in my office space and in my home. It's like I'm surrounded by my stuff the way that I've set it out, where that's not really the case here. Like this definitely feels like, you know, a somewhat guest room, but I've also got all of my stuff in here still. It's also really made me realize just how much stuff I actually have. Now, I guess like doing Lego as a job is absolutely fantastic. It is the best thing I feel like to ever happen to me. But at the same time, it has made me realize that with that job comes owning a lot of stuff, and I feel like I have gotten carried away in the past with just like buying a ton of things. And now that I've started to do a lot more of my own custom builds and really enjoying that as like my favorite type of video to make, I hopefully won't be buying as many sets, I feel like, as I probably once was when I first kind of restarted this channel. Secondly, I feel like I definitely appreciate Australia and Sydney as a place and a country and a city way more now that I've left and kind of come back. Like when I left, not particularly at first, but definitely over the last couple of months, I have started to miss aspects of Sydney. I definitely really miss living near a big city. Now, I know for a lot of people, you know, that probably doesn't make much sense. Like Orlando is a city, it is a big city at that, but I guess I've just lived near Sydney for so long that I miss that like really fast-paced culture and that hustle and bustle, and I don't feel like Orlando necessarily has that. And it's not like I would go to the city all too often, so it's really weird that I do feel that way, but that is something that I have definitely noticed and like really looked forward to coming back here. Some other things, I mean, I feel like food is usually one that comes to a lot of people's minds, but there are definitely a lot of food things that I miss about Australia. I miss the giant chocolate selection that you have. I'm a big chocoholic, so that really excites me. I also miss a lot of just like the general snacks. The quality of food here is way better just on like kind of the base level of things, which is really interesting. Another thing, and I've talked about this before in several of my vlogs, the shopping carts. The trolleys / shopping carts here with 360 wheels. I got so excited the other day in a supermarket because I could move my shopping cart trolley sideways. That is the most boring thing that I have ever said in my life, but it was true. I was so excited. I was doing 360 spins just because I could. It was the greatest. Now, kind of on the opposite side of things, some things that I noticed after moving to the USA was firstly just I felt like the world was so much smaller. Australia is so far away from everything that every single flight you take to get to like a different country is bare minimum about 8 hours. I know it's like 8 hours to get to Singapore, 8 hours to get to Tokyo. I think it's like 10 or something to get to Hawaii, which is the closest kind of like US state. And then it's 14 to get to LA, 24 to get to London, 24 to get to New York. And it's kind of like ridiculous just like how far away and isolated I feel like Australia is. And ever since moving to the US, I just felt so much more connected to everything, like time zone wise. I felt like kind of more was going on during the day, like more people were awake, there's more happening. The fact that I kind of sit down and think about it, I'm like, oh, wait a second, like I'm 8 hours away from London, I'm like 3-4 hours away from New York, 6 hours away from LA. Like I'm so close to a lot of what is happening in the world, and that is really cool. Also in Australia right now it is summertime, so I am noticing a lot of differences in terms of like the type of summer that I feel like I get here compared to Orlando, because that is one thing everyone always says about Florida, and I mean people say the same thing about Australia, is that it is constantly always hot. The heat is unbearable. The summers are unbearable. And look, I have talked some smack about Australian summers before, but I actually think, and now I might regret this because Tuesday is going to be 37 degrees Celsius. It's going to be scorching. So I might be eating my words then, but at least right now with like days like 33 degrees, like the weather is quite similar to what it would be like maximum temperature wise in Orlando, but it feels a little bit more bearable. And I don't know if that's just because it's something that I'm more used to, whereas Orlando, it's so humid, and like the humidity level says it's the same, but I can feel it more in Florida than I feel like I ever have here. And like I spent a lot of today actually in the pool reading Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and I'm just like sat outside like baking. Like I lathered up in sunscreen because I knew I was going to be going out, and the UV level I think was 11 today. Like that is like normal in Australia. But I was lounging around in the pool, and it's like I can feel the sun basically like burning my skin. It's a really, really weird feeling to kind of comprehend. And there are times where like I think I felt that in Orlando, but coming back here, I definitely realized that like that was not what I was feeling at all. But the major thing that I have realized coming back here, specifically regarding, I guess, like my room and my stuff, is that it feels like everything is kind of like frozen in time. And for me as well, I feel like I've been using some very confusing language when kind of referring to like Sydney and Orlando, because I would call them both home, and like I don't know what that says about me or what I'm thinking, but it's like I definitely would kind of like call both of them home, and like I would try and make a conscious effort to be like, okay, Sydney or my parents' house. But it's like kind of interesting coming back here because it's like this place is still home to me. Like I still feel like this is home. I walk around downstairs and I'm like, I'm in my living room that I have lived in for so many years, and I'm like, this is home. But I don't really necessarily feel that way about this room. It's all my stuff. I love being around my bed sheets and my things again, but this room isn't home to me. I'm definitely just rambling, but it is really hard to kind of articulate these thoughts because this is the first time that I've ever experienced this, and I'm trying my best to kind of like say exactly what I'm feeling. But that is all from me because I've been rambling for 18 minutes now, but I thought this would be a fun conversation to have, especially since, you know, I just had a very chill, relaxing day by the pool. I did some journaling. I do plan on actually like talking through that with you later this vlogmas, but it's been really nice just to have a bit more of a like a chill, relaxing, kind of restful day because I haven't really felt like I've had one of those properly. But bye for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.